Pound for pound fighter in the world. He's gonna beat this guy down. I'm telling you, within 2 rounds. We're not gonna go 2 rounds. 30 seconds at best. 30 seconds. It's said right here. Isn't that right?
It is.
Exactly. My guy doesn't play around, except with like children for like charities and whatnot. Incredibly docile with the children. But if you get in the octagon with this guy, you're going down.
That's right.
Does anybody have any questions?
Well, how's Comic-Con going?
We're not talking about Comic-Con. We're talking about the octagon. Any other questions? No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, the Comic-Con's going pretty well.
Yeah, it's been quite pleasant. Really, I feel like the people left me with this accent. I can't get rid of.
I don't know what that accent is. Where'd you
I don't know. I keep everyone's.
You caught that somewhere over the Atlantic.
Yeah, it's one of my phones said, "Would you? Oh, I see you're in Ireland. Would you like to? $10 a day. You can have Ireland talk." I don't know. The con's been great. Yeah.
All right, so no, but in all seriousness, he's gonna beat this dude down.
So what can you tell us about season 9 of The Walking Dead? What kind of hints can you kind of give us?
Oh, that's a great question.
Yeah,
absolutely nothing.
I see a roof and I see the stairs.
Yeah,
and I see a little like reflective mirror thing.
Mm-hmm. And we could maybe throw you off of it if we told you, because we are not going to get in trouble. You don't know. AMC has drones. And tiny little drones like little flies, and they're all over the walls. And literally, we would not make it out of the room.
Someone
if we told
in here
you anything.
is from AMC.
Absolutely, one of you is.
Yeah.
It might be you who asked the question.
Yeah, it's like
this
the
was
test.
a test. Did we pass?
Yeah.
Oh, she's gotten quiet. I'm worried. I'm very worried.
To play such an eccentric character as Ezekiel, do you need to get into character before through method acting, or is it just a switch you turn on and off?
That's a good question. Because I am not an eccentric character myself, and honestly, I have very little in common with Ezekiel. So it takes me a good 4.5 hours to get. I like a lot of silence. Mm-hmm. You know, no one can talk directly to me, and definitely no eye contact.
I try not to.
You know, exactly. Before I find my way to he who is Ezekiel. No, that's not true at all. It's actually very uncomplicated. I feel like I understand the character and know the character, even his speech pattern. I kind of patterned it after my great uncle Neb, who was a big Southern gentleman who kind of talked in this sort of, I guess, all-encompassing sort of way. You know, everything he said always seemed to have a flourish with his hands. And so I don't know. I felt like I kind of grew up with a lot of the aspects of Ezekiel, and so it ended up being kind of easy. Yeah, go ahead.
No, talking of English accents, were you a fan of the Bard before you took on this role? Because you've certainly cast a whole new coolness over Shakespeare.
Oh, actually, I've never heard of Shakespeare. Can you tell me more about him? I've always loved Shakespeare. I spent a lot of my 20s doing a lot of Shakespeare. I can still, I think I can still quote the Henry V prologue if asked to. Wow. But I adore him. You know, and these things tend to happen. That's all right. You just struggle your way right up. There you go. But I've always been a big fan of Shakespeare, and I love I love that I'm able to use it in this sort of quasi way.
Yeah. And Mr. Andrews, do you feel that your character would have had a similar morning with his affection also to Shiva? We saw very much in focus your loss to Shiva, but you were close as well. Your character was close to Shiva as well. Do you feel that Jerry would have?
Me and Jerry on this one. I think we just felt everyone's loss on that. I mean, we lost like 100 of people. Like people that we've out the background. These awesome, friendly group that we were with for a year. And then we you know, when we get the script, I literally cried 3 times reading it. I was just like, but yeah, so Shiva was part of it. But I mean, like, you know, losing our buddies, and that was also is kind of a kick in the boys right there. So yeah.
Definitely feeling the fact that we lost so many people kind of embodied the idea of the loss of Shiva, you know, and as far as when we were thinking about it, even in the moment in that ravine with the tiger, it was we don't divorce those two things from each other, the kingdom, the people, the community, and Shiva, the cat, are kind of one and the same in our minds, you know.
Yeah.
And so losing her, you know, it was like losing them, and losing them was like losing her.
How do you feel about returning for season 3 as Aqualad?
Man, dude, I worked so hard to make sure we got back for that. I was Googling, texting, emailing, Twittering, Instagramming. I was doing everything. I was literally I made up the word Instagram just to get back on Young Justice season 3. The funny thing is that one of the first things that we bonded over was the fact that Cooper was a big fan of Young Justice, and the first thing he asked was, "Is it coming back?" Yeah. You know. And yeah.
I remember the conversation. He was getting his your first time getting the wig done, I guess, when they were checking it, and you know, I was like, Khary Payton, I know that name. So I was in the chair waiting to do my hair, and I was like, hey, he's like, so Young Justice, and he's like, yeah, man, and then after that, then I was like, okay, seems cool. Let's talk about this. But yeah, that was the first thing we talked about and bonded over. So and I like to think that the kingdom is the reason Young Justice came back.
All the juice, man. We used all the juice to get Young Justice back. We were so upset at when it was canceled, because it was canceled because of, you know, Green Lantern movie.
Yeah,
you know, right. But just like Ryan Reynolds, we were able to rise from the ashes and redeem ourselves. He in Deadpool, we of Young Justice, Outsiders season 3, coming soon.
Sorry, would you guys like to be in Fear the Walking Dead? I know Lenny James has kind of done a crossover. Would you guys like to see how your characters were before The Walking Dead?
I would love to. You know what? Because of course we love Lenny, but and I'm still, you know, jealous of everybody on Fear who gets to work with Lenny, because he's not just a phenomenal actor, but he's just such a great person to have around you. I learn something from him every time we're on set.
Every time.
And I've also worked with Garrett Dillahunt, who plays John Dory, who I think is fantastic on the show. And
he's such a great actor.
Yeah, such a great actor, you know. And I think that character is just tailor-made for him. And we've met several of the cast, you know, because our shows are so similar. And I'd love to, you know, somehow have like Jerry and Ezekiel's weird doppelganger twins happen to find themselves in Texas. That would be so weird, but I would do it.
We could bring back Shiva,
We could totally bring back Shiva. Absolutely. No, that's all right. Let's keep writing this, and so bring back Shiva, Jerry and Ezekiel's long lost twins, who happen to live in Odessa, Texas. This all makes sense to me. Why won't we do it? Let's do it.
With what happened in the Walking Dead finale, like Rick's final decision, how do you think your character, what would they have done, and what would you, as yourself, have done? How would you have decided what to do?
What do you think?
Oh, gee. In that moment, I mean, so how I play Jerry, whenever he's shooting or whenever he's fighting, he hates it. Like, he's good at it, but he hates it. Like, he doesn't want to kill anybody. But some people do need to die, and I think Negan may have been one of them.
You held the axe with such authority. When you finally got to use it, it must have been very cathartic.
Super cathartic.
Dude, he was dying to swing that thing. And here's the thing, that thing was like 50 pounds. It was not like, they had a little rubber one, but it looked like rubber, kind of bouncing on his back. And so, and so they just, everybody came up to him and was like, is that thing real? And he'd hand it to him, and they just go,
That was Andy when he first. He's like, now is this supposed to be like a real axe, like a fake axe in the show? I just went, I handed it off to him, and he went, and he cursed, and then he was like, what the? And he passed it to Norman, and Norman's like, that's awesome. But yeah, it felt good using.
Yeah. Just to answer your question, Ezekiel would have killed Negan. Yes, he would have.
Then Jerry definitely would have.
Yeah. And it would have been a nice twist, because you think that the kingdom is kind of, more even keel. But I think in that instance, it's like, you gotta take him out.
And the fact is, we lose all our people, and
so screw that guy.
Yeah, we went in. We went in with that very specific mission. That was the first in the first episode. He's like, only one person needs to die, and we're like, yep, okay, cool. I like that, Matt.
Take him down.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, on that note, we have to let you go, otherwise all of us die, unfortunately. So,
Oh, wow.
thank you very much.
I will say this though, if you have 5 more seconds, I'm really looking forward to season 9. That's all.
There you go. Thank you guys very
So a little bit
much.
of a disappointment.
Yeah, it's all right. You know what? But it's just game 2. We still got we can always come back in game 3. I feel like we just weren't focused this last night, and
That's right.
But I think after getting on the same page, Coach told us a lot of things we did wrong. I think tomorrow's going to be a much better game.
A much better game.
Absolutely.
Sorry to the fans.
Yeah.
Sorry to the.
I
to
feel
the
like
whole
my
team.
effort wasn't there. I was actually on a bender, the night before. That probably shouldn't have happened.
I put 125% into it, so I couldn't have been any better than that.
Yeah, well, I literally I put a negative 72% into it, and so when you add those up, it's
You get math.
Yeah, exactly.
It happened.
Cooper, if I can jump in, please. We've only got you guys for 15 minutes.
No, we're going to talk more about this. this fake game that we're playing. No, but go ahead.
Early on, in some of your earlier scenes in The Walking Dead, did you feel that the humour that was being injected into your character, were you concerned, it certainly didn't transpire to be the case, but were you concerned that some of that humour might be a bit jarring and out of context with the genre that you were working in?
What are you trying to say?
I was very jarred.
No, it was it's funny because it was jarring because I've been a fan of the show from the beginning, and then I'm reading these sides. It was like I was talking to a dog named Santiago, and not Ezekiel was like Mr. like Yoshimaru or something like that, and I really was like, it's fruit time. Okay, well this is just the fake sides, and then when the real script came out, I'm like, oh, I say all those things. But yeah, but when we were shooting it,
He was worried
so
about
nervous.
it. I was not. I knew that we needed to be the light in the darkness.
Yeah.
And so Cooper was he was a little worried about how it was going to come off, and I kept telling him, "Dang, you're doing great. This is going to be awesome." And I saw the first cut of the episode before he did, and I immediately called him, and I was like, "Dude, everybody is going to love you. I cannot wait for you to see it." And he was like, "Are you sure?" Because I was worried about this. And I was like, "You got nothing to worry about, man." And obviously, he just exudes his Cooperness, on the screen. And I'm happy to report that I was exactly right.
Yes, you were. It was one of those things when, oh, here we go. Like Halloween came and that episode was airing. I was like, and then it was when I guess it was when Talking Dead came on, and my phone, which I had notifications for everything, it was at 90% before I watched the episode, and then my pocket started getting like burning up. It started getting really hot. And I took my phone out. It was like drained to 20%, and like Instagram, Twitter, all the social media. I was like, oh, all right, so I need to change notifications now.
Turn those off, man. Yeah. It was awesome.
Talking about that tension, I guess, between optimism and pessimism, I think obviously the show as it's gone along has kind of drifted in different directions, and In terms of the ultimate destiny of this world, do you think that we're heading towards an optimistic place like the kingdom would represent, or do you think that ultimately the world of The Walking Dead has to end badly?
I mean, I think we gotta be optimistic about
I think
that.
we got to be optimistic. Yeah, yeah. It's like you've only got really the winners always end up optimistic. You know, it's and honestly, I think that's how you end up winning in the first place. You know, just like in this industry, you've got to keep your head up and stay hopeful. You know, and that's how you get to this point. I've been doing this for 20 years. People think that I just made it. I made it a long time ago when I decided that this was my passion and this was my energy, and I was going to be positive in my outlook. You know, and no matter how many times people told me no, you know, I was gonna keep my head up and keep on going. And so even in an apocalypse, you know, if the people keep their head up and stay positive, at the end of the day, those are the people that are gonna be winning. We're gonna take Carl's positiveness and take it all away.
We're gonna bring it to that game tomorrow.
Absolutely.
Your character has had some quite strong emotional scenes with Melissa McBride's character. Do you think now that the Shadow of War is over, that the writers are going to develop the characterization, well, their relationship a bit deeper?
I suppose you got more time to do that if you're not constantly looking over your shoulder and firing shots. But yeah, I suppose time will tell, and we'll just have to see. Whenever I think they're going to zig, they end up zagging.
Yeah.
You know, we'll all have to tune in October.
I've been shipping it since 2016, so we'll see how this goes through.
He has been shipping pretty hard.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I like to give a lot of ships.
Lots of shipping.
Yes.
Exactly.
What have your fan interactions in London been like? Have you seen any really impressive cosplays or encountered a particularly memorable fan?
You know what? My most memorable fans have been my Teen Titans fans.
Yeah.
Actually, my tiny little Teen Titans fans dressed up as Beast Boy and Starfire and Raven. They get a lot. I mean, some amazing Raven costumes have come through. Yeah, it's been pretty good. We had a whole family of the Kingdom that came through. The tiniest, cutest little Jerry came through. It was pretty awesome.
I missed them. They were there the Friday, and it was a little
Oh
Jerry.
yeah, that's right.
I tweeted back at them. I was like, I'm so sorry, I won't be there.
Yeah, but we got to make this TV show first, and then we come to do the
Yeah, I guess that's important.
Yeah, that whole thing.
The King is this great oratory kind of theatrical figure in The Walking Dead, and both of your characters are quite invested in that story. What do you think the role is of having that fantasy within the Walking Dead universe?
Well, I don't think it's a fantasy.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't even think it's a role anymore. It's
It's who we are. It's how we overcome the darkness. You know, in this crazy world where like we said, there's dead people walking around.
Yeah, there are dead people walking, eating people shooting. Like we have these, this BMX armor. We would get these messages like, "That's not going to stop bullets." It's like we didn't think bullets were the thing we had to worry about.
Right.
I thought things were going to bite us.
Yeah.
Again, Carl could have used some chest protection.
Exactly. It would have, if he'd have had on a little bit of Kingdom armor.
Yeah. That would have been, that was just right there.
Boom, right there. I'm telling you.
Little softball.
We got a little strap thing going right there.
Catcher.
I think it's testament to your performances that some people do get confused and think it's a documentary.
Exactly. That's pretty good.
If you woke up tomorrow and it was the zombie apocalypse, what would be your Z-Day plan?
What would be the plan?
I
would hopefully
I would probably head to REI.
Yeah.
Get some camping equipment. Maybe head to also a sporting goods place.
Yep.
Go ahead and armor up. Absolutely.
Sure.
I'd definitely start growing my dreadlocks.
Yeah, that would be the time.
First thing first.
I would make sure I have a lot of oil for my hair. Make sure so it's nice and slick all the time.
Absolutely.
I would probably make sure I would have just lots of, my weapon of choice would be 6 machetes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just
Absolutely.
get stuck in one. Hey, look. Backups.
Yeah, there you
Here
go.
we go.
Cobbler, lots of
cobbler, yeah.
Make sure we got a nice hot oven.
Yeah, I'd carry a trailer of like a fruit tree. Just be a little
There you
radio
go.
flyer walking
Absolutely.
by.
Yeah.
that's
Different
it.
kinds of cobblers.
Of course, yeah, seasonal.
All about it.
Are any of you fans of the comics and had read the comics before the TV show?
I hadn't read the comics before the TV show, and I started reading the comics and got very into them, and I had to learn to divorce myself from the TV show and the comic because the characterizations, actually kind of threw me off a little bit because they do kind of zig and zag away from the comics. So although I love them, I have to take it with a grain of salt when I'm thinking about the role. Yeah.
And I was a fan of the show. I didn't know it was a comic. I did know before I was on it, but it's one of those things where I don't know, I like watching the movie, and then once I know that movie's done, I'm gonna start reading. It's the same with me for the comics. Like it's not like a.
It was pretty
I love
cool.
Comics.
It was pretty cool to see that first scene with Carol and Ezekiel, and then to read the scene with Michonne and Ezekiel in the comics, and see that it was almost verbatim.
Yeah.
It was kind of amazing to see that. Yeah. Anybody else? Dude, one from the cowboy. Come on.
Come on. You can't dress like that and not have something ready.
I find watching The Walking Dead, it got to the point, I don't know if you feel the same way about watching it, but do you feel like you got depressed, because there's people dying all the time? Did you get anxiety from watching?
Well, you know what? It's it does give you anxiety, and they kind of sew up your heart, just so they can rip it out again. But I think that's what we love about the kingdom.
Yeah.
Is that despite the darkness, you fight through it. And I think that's why people keep watching. I have so many people who have tattooed, and yet I smile on their arm, on their back, on their come and it's like despite their cancer treatment, their depression, their just hardship in life or whatever. They're like you smile through it, the king smiles through it, I smile through it. Yeah, I love that.
And then I guess the thing about it, how I think of the show, it's kind of like, do you get a dog, and not that we're dogs, just saying, or we're not dogs. I'd like to be as cute as a dog, but I'm saying is that you have 12, 15 years with one, and then you still have this whole life. And with the TV show, there's so many times where you do a role and then they're like, I'm going to go off and work on that in that camp in in South America, so I won't be on the show anymore. It's like, but they're gone regardless, and it's the same thing. I kind of like I like that finality when it's like, okay, they're definitely never coming back. They're not gonna they are gone. Yeah. There's something. I don't know. I like.
And we
that
always see
completion.
him at the cons, which is nice.
Yeah, and then then it's like, oh, what are you working on? It's like, oh, that massive movie. Congratulations. Oh, not sweating. Perfect. That must be so nice.
Exactly. Yeah.
How happy you must be.
Exactly. Yeah. You get put through the ringer on this show, man.
Yeah.
It's hot and nasty and sweaty, and you love it.
Yeah, there's never a day where I don't have an injury from that show. I get injured somehow in some minor way. It's like, oh, where did that come from?
Right.
Whatever.
Exactly.
That's the nature of the show.
We can sorry.
One more.
I was just going to say, working on a zombie show for so long and getting so involved in it, do you now just dream zombies?
I have never dreamt zombie.
I haven't. No.
I have never dreamt a zombie.
And I think I've fired on the show. I think I've fired on more people than I have zombies on this show.
Yeah. We came in when it was really about the fight with the people more than with the zombies, and I was really excited. Actually, even though it was one of the most gut-wrenching scenes was when Shiva died, but it was also I killed like 4 walkers in a row, and I was like, finally, I get to save the day for Cooper and Jerry just a little bit, after he splits that one dude in two.
Yeah, it was. I liked that moment. I almost passed out 5 times during it, but I did.
It was hot and it was muggy and it was awful and it was awesome.
Yeah, great boot camp of episode.
Absolutely.
We're going to let you go and get a shower and maybe a massage and a rest.
Yes, you need the oils.
Dude. Where's the massage? That's awesome.
What table massage? Thank you, guys.